Continuing on from the last video, we're looking still at the end of the first month, so we still want to make sure that we type in the new values of what we have left owed on our debts. So I'm not going to take interest into account for this example, as the numbers might be a little bit different, but we'll just say that John and Sarah made their payments on all of their debts for the month of January, and this was of course what was at the beginning of the month. So since we're updating this at the end of the month, we would simply type in what you see when you look up the accounts, how much is left owed on each particular loan. So with this one, if they paid $100 in January, they would now owe $900. They paid $200 here. John and Sarah would owe $7,300, and so on and so forth. So $100 off of this, $100 off of this, $100 off of this, 1,900 left here, and then 325 would be 17,675 dollars for that. So you'll see now that their debt owed is 44,975. So we're still in step 6. We're still saving. So we haven't done any reconciliation. We haven't done any overpayments towards our debt. So we would simply type in 0 right there, because we're just not quite at that moment. But now we have the ability to update both our year and our life tracks, because we have all the information that we need. So when you go to the year track, a couple of things that you can do. You can go to what you have on your reconcile page, and you can copy and paste, which is what is maybe the easiest thing to do. So now that it's currently January 31st, you would type that in, and this your savings account. Maybe because you're just hitting your savings right now, you didn't do anything towards college, you still haven't set up an investment account, your health savings, which is coming out, went up a little bit, and your 401k over the last month might have went up, a couple $100, and this is a little bit larger. So, you might have seen some good returns in your 401ks. And at the end of the month, you just type in how much you have in each one of the accounts, every single one of the accounts that you have. So you'll see for the month, you actually netted $2,900. But your overall net, because remember you paid off your debt, so now because it's the end of the month, you actually only have 44,975 left in debt. So remember, it's negative 44,975 in debt left over, and we're going to highlight that red because you're still in debt, but again, we paid $1,000 off towards our debt. So you'll see these 3 yellow boxes. This is something that you'll have to get into the habit of looking at month after month, because if you look at each of these, this says equals D12 divided by 1. So this is essentially saying how much money do you have? Have you increased in your value, divided by 1, because we're 1 month into our program. If this was the end of February, you would go 2. And if it was the end of March, you go 3. So just keep in mind, if those numbers really look off, that would be where you want to change just that number. So you hit backspace, type in the number 1, hit enter, because we're only 1 month into this. So that will change the values of that. So John and Sarah had a pretty good month. Their net worth actually went up close to $4,000 just in 1 month alone. And that's why I like to track this. This is why I like to go through these things, because it helps you track. And maybe John's credit score went up a little bit and Sarah's maintained the same, you would just type those in as well if that's something that you wanted to track. So now that we have all this, the life track, you would do the same thing. This being the first month, it's actually you don't have to do anything other than copy and paste. So you highlight all of these, Control C, go to the life track, hit enter, Control V, come down here to where you have your debt. You can come over here if you like, Control C, come to your life track. This is the date that you have, and today's current date is the 31st. So the numbers after the first month will of course be the same. You just would do that at the end of every month, and these numbers over the lifetime will change versus year to year, because each year you will start fresh beginning January 1st, but this will track what you've done from the beginning of your journey till whenever you end up deciding not to do this anymore. So that's the second half of the end of month one. Again, you'll see that John and Sarah went close to $4,000 in increased net income, and that's a pretty good start. So again, starting with the step that you're on, they would go into the next month simply looking to make sure to get to that goal of $4,705 in their checking account. And it might take them a couple more months to do so, but once they do that, we can really start looking into crushing debt, and that's where I will introduce reconciliation as well. So the final thing I will just point out here, as I have a couple of minutes, is this whole retirement sheet. It's not anything you have to worry about too much right now, but everything is tied in. It tells you how much current cash you have. It tells you how much income you receive. It'll tell you, based off of all the cash that you have in all of your accounts, how many months you could live before you drain yourself down to zero. Tells you how much debt you have, and we can get into home pricing and stuff like that at another time. So all of these calculations tells you, how close you are to needing to receive certain things. So, to get to 100,000 net worth, it's still going to take about 3 years, but it might take 20 to get to $1 million at the current rate. So again, this is something that you can play with. We won't go deep into this right now. I'll plug it in towards when we get to the end. But for now, this is just the second half of finishing up the first month, being able to track your year, showing you how to do that, and then also starting your life track, which for the first year, these two will pretty much be the same. So which is why this life track, you don't necessarily have to worry about too much, unless if you really want to go year after year after year and keep that data as you continue through your journey.